The latest Red Sox deadline trade is a really interesting one. What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to Red Seat Radio. My name is Corbin, and I apologize for the audio and video quality over the last couple of videos. I was away on a family vacation, but we are back now and in perfect time because the Red Sox made yet another move heading up as we get closer to this year's deadline, and this one to me is absolutely fascinating. So what we are going to do in today's video is we're going to break that down a little bit. We're going to talk about the trade itself, who came in, who's going out, and whether or not this was a smart move by the Boston Red Sox. Thank you all very much for clicking on this one. It's good to be back. Let's get into it. Okay, so for those of you who missed the news, a few hours ago, Jeff Passan broke that the Boston Red Sox had made a trade with the Pittsburgh Pirates. This trade included the Boston Red Sox acquiring Quinn, a starting pitcher, for Red Sox prospect Nick Yorke. Now, we're going to start with Quinn before we get into Nick Yorke, because I know right off the bat, for those of you who have heard the news already, you took a look at his Baseball Savant page or whatever, and you said, what the heck is going on here? And for pretty good reason, right? His statistics overall at the big league level haven't exactly been exciting. It is a 6.46 ERA with a lower, but still definitely not great, 5.82 FIP, a 1.585 WHIP, that is a whole lot of traffic on the base pass, and a 66 ERA plus, about 34% below league average production. Like I said, a little bit less than impressive on what Quinn has done at the big league level, but before we freak out and talk about bargain bin shopping and all of that, there's a couple of really big caveats to the statistics that you are seeing on this screen. The first one is that this doesn't really come with a whole lot of experience. Quinn still isn't truly acclimated to Major League Baseball. The statistics I just read to you were over 94 and 2/3 innings in 2 seasons combined and a total of 20 games overall. That's less than a full season's worth of data over 2 years. It's hard to judge what he can be off of simply such a small sample size. The other thing worth noting is that Quinn is just 23 years old. If he is to make his way up to the Major League level this year, by the way, he was optioned down to AAA, so that's where he's going to be beginning his career with the Boston Red Sox. But if he is to make it up to Major League Baseball at some point this season, he would be tied with the youngest player on the Boston Red Sox. That is a whole lot of room to grow for Quinn The other thing on top of that is if you take a look at what he's been doing between the 2 seasons, his first year in Major League Baseball and his second year in Major League Baseball, there is a lot to be encouraged by. In his first season, he had a 7.74 ERA with a 6.74 FIP and a 1.700 WHIP. That is a ton of traffic on the base pass with a 57 ERA plus. That was all in 2023. Now, in 2024, he basically has essentially the exact same amount of innings thrown and the exact same amount of games thrown. So we could compare these a little bit. And in 2024, he has a 5.04 ERA with a 4.81 FIP and a 1.455 WHIP with an 80 ERA plus. Still 20% below league average production, but that's also 23% more productive on the mound this season than the season before. And it's noticeably better in every single measurable category. That's a good trend to see from such a young player like Quinn Not to mention, he is absolutely dominating AAA this season. He currently has a 3.21 ERA with a 2.85 FIP with just a 1.87 walks per 9. Now, obviously, this is AAA, so I know some people are going to say, well, he can't do it at the big leagues. This is a quadruple A player. But before we get into that, again, you got to remember all the caveats I just mentioned. And on top of that, too, Quinn really saw a drop in walks per 9 at 1.87 in AAA this season. The reason that's important to mention is because a big reason why he was so unsuccessful in his first half season, quarter of a season in Major League Baseball was because of the fact that he just simply couldn't find the strike zone all that well. In his first year, he was walking almost 5 batters per 9 innings. This year, at the big league level, he slashed that down to a 2.62 per 9. That's basically directly in half, and that is a really great sign again. And then, obviously, you come down to AAA, and it's even lower. Again, a really good sign. So I understand why people initially look at Quinn Priester and they say, well, wait a second, Corbin, why the heck would the Red Sox trade for a guy like this? But if you dive a little bit deeper into what's causing those statistics, there's a lot to get excited for here. Not to mention, Quinn Priester's potential is really high. We're talking about a frontline starting pitcher, maybe not an ace, but a top of the rotation type guy, a number 2, a number 3 type pitcher. Quinn Priester has been a top 100 prospect over the last 3 seasons, 2020, 2021, 2022, and 2023. He has been in the top 100 prospect list according to MLB Pipeline. We're talking about a young pitcher who has some major league experience, maybe not successful, but a ceiling that is astronomical. When you're looking at why the Red Sox may have wanted to trade for this guy, it's extremely clear. The Red Sox wanted controllable pitching. They wanted pitching that was going to impact this team further beyond 2024, and Quinn Priester has the potential to do that. But Quinn wasn't the only part of this trade, so let's get into why the Red Sox gave up Nick York. But before we get into that, do me a favor. Make sure you guys have hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. If you're new here, we talk Red Sox content almost every single day. Also, make sure you guys have hit the like button on this video as well. Helps these videos out a ton. It's the best way you can let me know you're enjoying the content we are putting out. Thank you all very much for taking a second and doing so. Let's get into the second half of this video. So obviously, the person leaving the Boston Red Sox organization in order for them to get Quinn Priester was Nick York. And I got to say, on a personal level, this one really hurts. Nick York was one of my favorite prospects over the last couple of years. But despite the fact that he was a bit up and down in minor leagues, I really had hope for who he could be at the major league level. I wanted it to be with the Boston Red Sox. This season, I got the opportunity to talk to Nick both on and off camera. And he is an absolutely fantastic guy, making him even easier to root for. The Pittsburgh Pirates are getting a really awesome prospect back in Nick York, but I gotta take my personal biases aside and look at why the Red Sox may have wanted to get this deal done. I think the biggest reason is something that we've talked about for a while and shouldn't shock anybody. It's the fact that Nick York didn't really have a place on this major league team, right? Taking a look at who's behind him for middle infield prospects, you got a lot of top names there. Looking at guys who are ahead of him at the major league level in terms of players in the middle infield, you got a lot of really impact guys there as well. And Nick York was just sort of in no man's land, right? He had started trying to learn the outfield to try and get himself more versatile so he could be used at the major league level. And he was doing it pretty well. And on top of that, he's hitting really well at the plate as well. He currently has a 310 average with a 408 on base percentage and a 490 slug, good for a 136 WRC plus, about 36% above league average production. The problem with that is there just simply was not a fit on the future of the Boston Red Sox, because right now, obviously, I think there could be a case to be made where you could say, hey, Nick York's needed right this second at the big league level, especially with Jamie Westbrook just simply not looking like a legitimate major league player. But we're talking about the future in this trade because realistically, that's sort of the entire purpose of this thing. If you take a look at what Nick York was valued at on baseball trade values and what Quinn Priester was valued at on baseball trade values, it's a pretty even trade. I understand baseball trade values doesn't give you the whole picture, but it does give you a little bit of a baseline here as to what the Red Sox or what Major League Baseball may have been valuing these two players at, and it seems like a pretty reasonable deal. It's definitely one that we're going to have to sit here and we're going to have to wait and see as to whether or not the Red Sox won or lost this trade, right? This is one of those trades where you can like it on paper, you can not like it on paper, but we just flat out have absolutely no idea how this is going to work out because neither of these guys are, one, going to start their careers in their new organizations at the big league level, and two, not going to really be able to make an impact with their big league club for a little bit of time now. This is one of those trades that you look back on in 2 or 3 years and you say, okay, yeah, the Red Sox made the right move by trading away Nick York and Quinn Priester's been fantastic, or vice versa, or it just ends up as sort of a dead stalemate. Now, what I will say is that I like the idea behind this trade. I like the fact that the Red Sox are going after a young controllable starter that could be a legitimate impact player for this team over the next couple of years. He's probably going to make an impact at the big league club this season at some point as well. I would expect him probably up in the next month or so. If they could keep him in the minor leagues for 24, I think it is, days since he came over to this team, they actually get an extra year of control over him as well, which is something that we are going to have to keep note of, as it's probably something the Red Sox are very interested in. But my biggest problem with this trade is not the idea behind it. It's the fact that for the last 2 weeks, it has been abundantly clear that the Red Sox need pitching help right this second. They need someone to come in and really bolster this pitching staff as soon as humanly possible. And this trade just is not it, right? It's not the one that's going to be like, oh crap, the Red Sox starting Tuesday or starting Thursday, they're going to look like an entirely different rotation. Now, this could work out in the long run, but I'm talking about right now. It is a little bit frustrating that the Red Sox still really haven't done anything to make a major impact on this team right this second. And I know that really kind of sounds whiny. It sounds like I'm a little bit spoiled here a little bit, but at the same time too, I don't know. It just feels like the Red Sox have let this team die a little bit, especially after their performance in this Yankees series where your biggest need is highlighted on a national stage and you still go out there and you don't get a whole lot. Now, I do want to say a couple of things here because, again, I know there are going to be a lot of people in the comment section blowing this trade away, saying it was a terrible idea, and I don't think it's a terrible idea for a couple of different reasons. It's important to remember when you're looking at these trades, these values that teams are placing on these players are not dictated by where Sox prospects put them on a ranking list. It's not dictated by where MLB Pipeline, Baseball America, really any of those publications rank these prospects. They are based on how the Red Sox view their assets in terms of their entire organization. And more importantly, it's also based on how other teams perceive the value of your prospects and your organization. Specifically, this year, it is a really big seller's market, which means that for the Red Sox to go out and get somebody, it's not so much who the Red Sox would be willing to part with, it's who the other team is willing to take on. And that's a really important thing to remember when you're looking at why the Red Sox may have gone a route where you get a less proven, more controllable starter as opposed to a lights out bullpen arm that would cost them a Kyle Teal or a Roman Anthony or a Marcelo Meyer, right? Because that's essentially what it's going to cost to get one of those guys here. So there is some pretty big caveats when you dive into why the Red Sox may be looking at this type of options as opposed to the Red Sox going out and blowing someone away. But at the same time too, again, you need someone in at the big league level as soon as humanly possible. And honestly, Craig, you're running out of time a little bit. You got one more day until 4 p.m. tomorrow to really get something done. And I'm interested to see if he's going to be willing to go that extra mile. I'm also going to be willing to see after the deadline if this is what they end up doing, sort of these marginally small additions that could be bigger impacts later on, but maybe not right now. If it has anything to do with the way the Red Sox are playing on the field right now, because that certainly is not fantastic. And I apologize, I missed our series recap today. I ended up losing that audio when I tried to edit it this morning and simply could not get it back, but I'll make it up to you guys in the future, I promise. Until then, let me know in the comment section down below, what do you think of this deal? Do you like it? Do you not like it? Taking into consideration what I mentioned about the market and the way organizations are viewing prospects, do you think it's a win? Do you think it's a loss? Or do you think it's something that the Red Sox are going to have to figure out whether or not they won or lost over the next couple of years? Let me know all your thoughts about the newest addition to the Red Sox organization, Quinn Priester, in the comment section down below. As always, if you made it to the end of this video, do me a favor. Make sure you guys have hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. If you're new here, we talk Red Sox content almost every single day, and it looks a whole lot more like this than what you've been seeing over the last couple of days. Don't forget to hit that like button as well. It's the best way you can let me know you're enjoying the content we are putting out. And finally, we are back putting our episodes out in podcast form, so if you want to listen instead of watch, all you got to do is head over to your favorite podcasting app and look up Red Seat Radio. Thank you all very much for clicking on this one, and I will see you, hopefully with some more trade news and in the Red Seats.